My name's Chimupeni Andrew Katebe. And Chimupeni is a family name. Yeah, I come from Mansa, that's where I was born, way back in the early 60s. I was born in a family of 11, of which we had 7 girls and 7 boys. We lost 4 girls, 3 are remaining, and the 4 guys are still around. I am the firstborn in that family. And as now, I'm married with 6 children, 3 boys, and indeed 3 girls. Well, literally, I'm a Wushi speaking guy. I come from Mansa area where there are Wushi people. I'm Wushi by tribe. But I very well speak Bemba. I speak English. I speak Nyanja. And as well I can speak across the border language, that is Swahili. Not so fluent, but I can communicate well. Well, as I was growing up, you know our lifestyle when we were young. We used to go too much in the bush hunting birds, setting up traps. So I was a catapult taker so much, shooting the birds. So when I was growing up, I started thinking about joining the army. And that was one of my careers that came to my mind as I was growing up. But at the end of it, my father was not for the idea that I would join the army. And it so happened that I even made up my mind that I could go, but my father turned it down. But growing in the family of engineering, my grandfather was a mechanical engineer, my uncles were mechanical engineers. Now staying with them, I also started getting interest in motor vehicles. And that's how I ended up taking up mechanics, of which I did mechanics at a small level, crafts, and I went to do motor vehicle engineering, in motor vehicle system under Sitan Guilds, London. Well, I did it in segments alongside my football career. Yeah, as I played football, I also took the advantage of school. I never neglected the school, because I went to the primary school, as I said, just in Mansa, that Compania Primary School. My parents were working for government, and at that time, transfers were so rampant. My father was transferred to Kawambwa. I went to Kawambwa Primary School from grade 5 to grade 7. Compania was 1 to grade 4. Then my father again was transferred to Mwense. I went to Sakarua Primary School until I went to Mwense Boys Secondary from 1977 to 1981. But alongside all those careers at that school, I also had to undertake the football alongside my professions that I was trying to do, especially secondary school careers. I remember when I was at Mwense Boys, I played for a team that was for the police force in Mwense. I was very young then. But when I completed school, I came to Mansa and decided to move to Lusaka, where I went into college in 1982 to do automotive mechanics at Capital Technical College. That was my initial start for the course. Well, I didn't recognize myself so early, but people were saying there was something in me. And what they saw in me was not just a football career talent, but they saw that I was born a footballer. And with my father's age, most of the time he would buy me rubber balls that I used to train with him when I was at home. He was insisting I needed to be using double legs, which really helped me, even the time when I started playing. But at school, when I talk about that kind of football time, I was a goalkeeper. I was not playing inside. But when I went to secondary school, there happened to be a number of goalkeepers. So I remember Mr. Harrison Chanda, who was our training school guy, decided that I should venture to play inside, because I was good on footwork. I started playing as an inside winger and an attacking striker. That's how I ventured into football. From there, it was all people praising me and other people pushing me that I needed to go into this. And it so happened that I got into football up to when I was about 20 years. Some teams started coming for me, and the team that came for me first was Mutondo Stars in 1981. There was a scout that they were using, Mr. Makufi from Kwacha. I think that was the father for Bernard Makufi. He came to Mansa. He never saw me play, but he was just told by some people, there is a boy, he's a good player. That's how I was gotten to come and play for Mutondo Stars in 1981. But at the end of the year, I decided to go into college. I left in 1982 when I went to Lusaka to do my motor vehicle course. At some point, yes, it so happened when I had an injury. At that time I was in Form 2. Going into Form 3, I sustained an injury during the games at school. So my parents started discouraging me that you wanna miss the situation in school. So they told me that I shouldn't continue to play football and concentrate on school. But my grandfather, he came up with something else. He was saying, have you ever seen a charcoal burner burning his feet and abandons the work? I said, no. If you are eating fish, would you get choked by a bone of a fish, then you stop eating fish? He said, no. He said, yes. What you have just now gone through, having this injury, it's like you have now gotten a license. So you need to go on, don't retreat. And from there on, I took it up until I saw myself finding myself into this career. My father encouraged me, my grandfathers too. I had two of my grandfathers that encouraged me. Yeah, the other grandfather was staying close to me. Him who used to watch me all the time. The only complaint that he had about me when he watched me, my stature was very small. So he was just laughing most about me, that when they push you wide, you drop to the ground, you need to be eating too much and train hard. That's the encouragement he was giving me, which was indeed very good for me. But I have a nephew who decided just to follow. That is Obed Masumbuko. Currently he was at Rumwana, now he's at Nkana. He's a daughter to my sister. This is the only one in the family that has been looking up to me, that he can also become a footballer like me. Well, I started as a goalkeeper. That was at secondary school. But when I got into competitive football, I already shifted to an inside player. I was one of the wingers. I was playing 11 and 10, as well as 7. And one of the biggest weapons I had was my pace. And I was very good in the air. That was one of the advantages that I had. But in the nutshell, after I was going to the evening of my careers, I started coming down to midfield. And I ended up playing as a central defender before I retired. My record in my playing career, I would say I was one of the disciplined players, because I won as a disciplined player of the year. That was in 1990, KITWE United. But I don't remember receiving a red card during my playing career, no. I was always agreeable to a referee's decision, because I knew my role was to play, not to officiate and play the game. There was somebody who was controlling the game. And when advantage that I had, at KITWE United especially, I was a captain for 4 seasons. And being a captain, I needed to be the example to the team. So I don't remember receiving a red card. A yellow card could have been, but it would have been just part of the game. I would mention the man that I don't usually forget is Mr. Dixon Kaminda. I would say he was like my scout, because this is the man who brought me here under his hands. He made sure that I had everything that I needed to start with. He was working for a good company by then, and every time, players, we can't have everything. But for him, he kept on checking on me, and he had given me some people that were also looking after me. I was staying at Bush Hotel when I just came here. And the other members of the team, like I remember the old people like Mr. Yumbe, Joseph Yumbe, there was Mr. Joseph Kabunda, John Mumbi, and Mr. JJ Ngoso was running a butchery here. They took care of me very well. And many at the time that they came to speak to me how I needed to take care of myself. Yeah. And at the end of it all, as I grew up, there was a Mr. Peter Mashambe. I think I'll give you the picture. You see this man. This man saw my future early than anybody else. And he was insisting that I had the potential to take this team forward. And he always told me, even if I die, don't leave KITWE United. You can really help this team have seen your potential. And you are the only ones amongst the players that I have nurtured who is around. And I can share certain information with you. So that man really helped me a lot. He made me believe in myself. And that's how I succeeded in many of the aspects of football that I ventured in. Well, I don't remember at any time when I played football for money. Because I will tell you that many of the times that I played for KITWE United, I don't remember how many times I was remunerated for the good job. This team won promotion from Division 2 to Division 1. We were not honored. I saved the team from relegation. I was not honored. I won the promotion to take this team to Premier League. I was not honored. And I took it upon myself to be a volunteer because I was not paid. Even now, I've been at KITWE United. I don't get paid. It's just for my passion and for my sake. I don't think as to what I should get out of the team, but I think of what should I put in the team. Most of all, money is not a factor for me. It's just a passion and interest that I have. Well, as an individual, as I mentioned earlier on, I played with some teams wireless in Lusaka in college. I won some awards like best player of the tournament. I had won a top scorer twice when I was with Commercial Motors, and at KITWE United I won an award as a top scorer in 1988. And alongside that, I was amongst the coaches, the technical bench that won the first promotion for KITWE United from Division 2 to Division 1. And again, saving the team from relegation way back in 1998. And winning the league for the first time for KITWE United. Going to Premier League after 21 years in 2002. It was an honor for me because there was no resources, but we managed to do something that was very great indeed for the city. And as well as coming third in the Coca-Cola Cup. We won the third place in the Coca-Cola semi-final in 2002 and 2003 semi-final as well, but we came fourth in the same tournament, Coca-Cola Cup. Well, I will start by saying when I came back from the coaching training from Free Wanderers under Samuel Zuma Njovu, I was attached to the team as one of the player coaches, and I learned a lot from that. But my major responsibility that was just right on my shoulders came in 1998. That is when KITWE United were still in Division 1 then. They were almost losing it, going back to Division 2. They were lying second from the bottom on the log, and they were playing their last game in the second round. You know, people came, the elderly people for the team came to ask me if I could help. I said yes. I just got permission from my bosses to say I have an added responsibility other than my job, of which they were agreeable and asked me to move. I came, that time we were still using Bush Stadium. I found the assistant coach here was Lawrence Mwemba, a colleague that I interact with even today. I took over the head coach. That team was lying bottom of the league, second from the bottom, and they were heading for demotion. So that team, when I came in, I had a chat with players. I really gave them the courage that they can do it. It's a long way to go. They have only played 15 games. It's a long way to go. We have another 15 games. So we can change things in the second round. For sure it happened. We had the first game here where we lost 1-0 as my first game. So I did my homework as to why we lost the game, get into the transgression and moved forward. We went on to win 10 games without a loss. And the under-17 was impressed with the performance of the team. We had 5 of the players that were taken to the under-17 national team. I can remember Grad Kilambe, Peter Piri, Francis Piri, Clifford Chipalo, even is it Kelvin Kashitu, some of the players that were taken to the under-17 because of the good performance of the team. We went all the way, my brother, that we went to lead by the last 4 games of the league. We were on top of the table. And the Bush Stadium was now getting filled to capacity. People were surprised what has happened. And people labeled me to be bringing juju to the team. The team performed very well. And the trick part was that when we are on top, we had again to play the 3 games with the guys that we are on top with. That was Ndora Wanderers, Free Blackpool, and Indeni. So one of the games, it was like we had only 1 game home. The rest of the 3 games were away. So the home game against Ndora Wanderers here, the stadium was free for all. The town clerk just said, don't charge anyone. Let people go in. The stadium was fully packed. We played a nice game. We drew 0-0. We went to Blackpool. We drew 1-1. We went to Indeni as our last game. We drew 1-1. But at the end of it all, that was the time we should have gone to Premier League in 1998. But because of the boardroom decision, Ndora Wanderers were given, it should be 4 points and Blackpool 3 points respectively. That's how we lost it, and we finished third. I think that was one of the achievements that I made that turned things around for the team for the first time as a coach, my responsibility. Well, there could be many moments, but my first moment, I would say, was when I joined KITWE United. When I was recruited from Mansa to come and join KITWE United. I think I had a very good moment, as you can see in this stadium, Ibuch Stadium. That was where I played my first game. It was all pros around. People received me very well. They nicknamed me Mansa. That was a nickname that I could walk around with when I moved into and around town. It was very encouraging. But in that particular session and that particular period, I had a low moment when I was called to the national team in 1988 with Victor Kabwe and myself. We were now called to the Zambia B national team, which was supposed to play Uganda. The teams were assembled at Power. Yeah, we didn't make the last 23, the two of us. We were dropped. And I felt like, why? Because I saw some of the players that I looked up to, that they were encouraging me that I could make it. But you know, numbers at times, they're not fair. If they needed 23 people and you're called the 40 of you, not everyone can go. But I was looking up to that and said, okay, it's fine. I'll keep working hard. But that moment again didn't come. But I did not give up. I continued to play football. The other moment I may want to talk about is when I moved into the coaching chair. I would say that I became one of the coaches, to say the first coach to win promotion for KITWE United to Premier League after 21 years. I will tell you that Premier League in Zambia was introduced in 1982. And there were only 12 teams. Amongst the teams that do not fare even today is Ndola United, Kalulushi Modern Stars, Kabwe United, as well as Conqueror Blades. Yeah, that time when the 12 teams were introduced to go for Premier Team, KITWE United was not even close. Even when they made the Division 1 zone the way they want to introduce it now, KITWE United was not even Division 1 because they were demoted in 1977 to Division 2. So I came to join this team in 1987, helped it in many sectors, in many areas, that it won the league from Division 2 to Division 1. I was as a player coach that time. But when we went to play a Division Super League in 2001, I was the coach, and the council to do sponsorship. You can imagine. We had no sponsorship. But I was there to psych the players, to play out their lungs and get committed to the team that they needed to win games, in order for them to have numbers in the same team rather than joining the two teams that we have in the city, which is only Power and Nkana. So we won the league quite okay, without resources. I was not getting paid. I did it as a volunteer. We won the league. And we had other sponsors that came in, that is Hexagon. They sponsored the team very well. But it so happened that due to that particular season, just into the season, the team did very well. We had other colleagues that were brought in on the technical bench when things did not work out well for the team. I was relieved of my duties with the other colleagues. I would say I was fired, as you could see some of the headlines just came into the newspapers, coaches sent on forced leave. I was asking for a reason as to why I should be given that exit with all that I did. I think that was a low moment. And when the team did not stay too long in Premier League, they were only there for 4 seasons. From 2002 to 2006, they were demoted to Division 1. People started coming back to me again. They would ask me, why don't you come back and help the team? I think that injury was still on my heart, and I felt like I can't do anything for the team now. But football being what it is, you have no permanent enemies. I decided to get back anytime they called me to help the team. Well, that was really sad news for the nation. And it was a big blow for the country, especially the football fraternity. And you could see there were so many families that were affected by that kind of disaster. I will tell you, just 2 days, it should be a day before the players left for Mauritius, they were coming to Edinburgh Hotel. I met them because I played with Richard Mwanza, as I told you earlier, one member of Plus Select side. We were together with Richard Mwanza. I played with Dave Makinka at Afe before he joined Profund Warriors. I knew Stone Mulonga because they were staying with Laba in Chala, was my close friend. I used to visit them when they was at Buffaloes. Yeah, and many others. We used to interact. And Gibi Mbasela, when there was Coca-Cola, we used to be together most of the time. Yeah, now when that happened, I was in town. I was just crossing over from the office, getting into town. driving there, it was just the news that it was about 12 hours. And I remember it was Mark Bott who read the news. And the Zambia national team has perished off the coast of Gabon. I think it was heartbreaking. The whole town was in tears, and people were weeping uncontrollably. And no one looked at each other because we were all dropping tears. That was terrible, and it was indeed very bad. And looking at that, we were coming to see Zambia having taken a different dimension now. That the team was going to go very far. Just after beating Mauritius, we expected a very good result where they were going in Gabon. So at the end of it all, when the news started spreading, it sounded like a rumor. But the atmosphere in town was really showing that it was not a rumor. Something true has really happened. We have lost our colleagues, and that was indeed very terrible. And I should think that the gap that those colleagues of ours left was difficult to fill. Because you remember the replacement of the player that was done. They were not the junior players that took over from the mantle that those guys left. There were other senior players who were in their evening of their careers. Came up. Again, these are the teams that were selected to go and finish the journey that the colleagues started. And Karusha Bwada was very instrumental in that. Because many sectors decided that we should not continue to play the games. Because of this, Karu said, no, let's continue, and he encouraged other players that were called to the national team. And we saw what they did there in 1994. We went to the finals of that Cup of Nations. We lost in the finals by 2-1, which was really very encouraging. But the players that had done that could not continue because some of them were already in the evening of their careers. They were almost retiring, like the modern Maritoris, Dennis Lord, I remember Zedi Saileti, and there was James Peary there, Davis Peary. So we see that that gap, I don't think it has been filled because the handover of those guys was not smooth. 2012 success. I'm sure it was out of self-belief and confidence. And Coach Averena played a very big role. That gentleman is a psychologist, I would say. He played on the mind of the minds of the players, psychologically. He really made them believe in themselves. He made them believe that they can do it. And we saw them do it. And that flame was really burning at that time. If you see the way the boys were coming up, they were so high into that tournament that they believed in themselves and that they could do it. And I'm sure I would say commendation go to Averena, because he knew where to touch. And he knew where to put the players, how they needed to do it, because it was not a long-term plan. That was a very short-term plan. He managed to hold it high. And the moment the boys did that, the spirit went down. We never did it the second time. So you would see that self-belief in that particular tournament in the players really helped, and it worked for the players. In this particular instance, I will tell you, one of the things, our players' mileage in Zambia is very short. I don't think we have too many players that will play 5-6 seasons on top of their peak. Not many. Not many. And at the same time, again, we are afraid to start. We don't have a team that we can depend on. Way back, even if I asked you to go and watch the game, you tell me the lineup is like this. Today, you can't tell. You will have 6-7 players, new players coming into the team. Consistency is very, very important. Even though we have been changing coaches, in the past 7 years, as we are talking, how many coaches have we since Averena left? We have not been consistent. We could have had the contract of a coach that is going to take us a long time, 3-4 seasons, that he can be able to make adjustments and pick players that he can be able to mold into his philosophy, his understanding that things can work. But we want to plan when there is 1 year. We want to assemble a team in 1 year and it must perform miracles. No, it doesn't work like that. Football is all about consistency. You can have a gamble of performing with a newly assembled side once, but you can't do it always. Well, it doesn't make really sense to forget where you come from. And you have nothing to lose if you think backwards, because it's also going to help you where you're heading to. Because the moment you drop the people that helped you to succeed, to go up, one day you will need them. But I will tell you that in my time, I don't think I neglected anyone. Because even some of the examples I would give you, even the players that I played with, I have friends. that we used to play football together with. They have never made it well in life, that they are struggling, that they didn't go far even in getting a job. But even today, I meet them, I talk to them, and some of them I invite them to even to come to my office, that we can talk our history and see where we come from. It feels very good. And you know, many are the times that people don't want to associate with failure. They wanted to associate with themselves with success. But there are many times that the successful don't want to associate with the people that have failed, which is indeed very wrong. But I would say that a person who does not fail does not learn. So we need to realize that even ourselves at one point, we may have failed, but it was because of others that we excelled and continued. I'll tell you one example that I played with a man called John Chimupeni. I played with him, the team I told you about when he numbered, the team that rounded up all the stars in Mansa because it had good job opportunities. I played with this man at Nambod, and I played with him when we were playing for Mansa Batteries. This is the first group of people that were taken by KITWE United. Him, John Chimupeni, Enoch Mwanza, and Gilbert Mwanza. But Gilbert Mwanza and Enoch went back. John remained at KITWE United, and Power lay hands on him. He went to Power. Then he had a broken leg. I would tell you that I can't forget that man. You may want to know the reason. This man, after playing for KITWE United and Power for 4 seasons, he decided to come back for me specifically. He came with one of the committee members, Dixon Kaminda, and Nation Kabengele, who was the treasurer for KITWE United. They came to watch a game that we were playing against Mansa Wanderers. I didn't know they came for me, and I didn't even see them. They came to watch a game in which we lost by 5-2. But I had the tendency myself, when our team lost, I behaved a bit funny, that I wanted to show that I was a good player. I would show my skill even if our team has lost. So they were watching. So after the game, they came. I just saw John. Alhamdulillah, John, how are you? He said, Moiche, how are you? You are still playing very well. I have come for you. So when they took me to the room where they were staying, he started narrating to me. Moiche, I have come for you. I want you to go and bless me at KITWE United. That's how I found myself here. I'm talking about an uncle to Charles Wari, the under-20 coach. He's his uncle. He's the one who decided that KITWE United should come and pick me, specifically under his recommendation. That's how I found myself at KITWE United. But he's late. I still talk about him. Even Mr. Kaminda, I still talk about him. He's late. But this is the man who convinced my father that I should join KITWE United, other than any other team, because my father was not for me, for the idea that I moved. So forgetting where we come from, forgetting the people that helped us, I don't think it's a good idea. During my coaching career, I think I will talk about Perry Mubanga. He was one of the captains in 2009, the Chan tournament. He played for Power, he played for Nkana, as well as at Zesco. Then Joseph Stali, the current Mighty Mufulira Wanderers captain. We have Zita Ngambi, the coach for Blackpool today, as well as Peter Kashimoto, coach for Rwamfumu. Also Grad Kilambe, the young brother to Lotson Kilambe. I think, and many others that came through my hand, and Eugene Shamakamba. There are so many guys that I helped. And in the recent years, I had other players when I just took over in 2002. I had a few other guys that I really helped outside when I was not, I'd left my coaching bench. I was always helping them to see how they needed to handle themselves, like the captain today, Moses Loloji, talk about Lupet Musonda, Robin Siame. Those boys at times they could get the influence of wanting to leave KITWE United, but I told them consistency is something that is very important. If you are with a team for 2-3 seasons, you become an experienced player, and the other players that come may be banking on you. I would tell you with all honestness that a referee can win a game for the team, and a referee can cost the team a game. Firstly, I would say they are human, and their precision of judgment is very minimal. They would decide according to what they see. But at the end of it, we are not taking away something that some of them they are into match fixing, which is so rampant we can't take away from that one from them. Some referees are not fair. And many of the referees, you will see that when they are handling a certain team, the result of that team will never be good because they have just got that kind of hate and they are bitter with that team for reasons that are unexplained. So that's why you see even scandals, and some referees are caught up in scandals. The moment there is a back kick to a referee, he has gotten something from a team, he wants to impress. And at times they will do even some of the unfair decisions that even the crowd would see to say, even if we are not referees, that decision is very biased. It's there. We can't run away from that fact. If it was a single player that you know, you would ask him to go home and come during the game. But we are talking about 18 players in camp. Characters are different. The way they project the game, how it's going to turn out, it's very different. Some of them, they will just take it fun. Yeah, we'll still go and play the game. But here is a situation that we need to put all the players in the right framework of mind. They have to be in camp so that they are on the same level. That they cannot go and misbehave outside. They will keep their fitness. The diet will be very good that they are going to be given, prepared very well. They will have time for the doctors to look at them. Psychologically, they will be prepared for the game, that when they have their mind wandering when they are coming from home. I think players must have respect for leadership on the pitch. Whenever they are grieved by a decision of a referee, they have a captain. But we can't take it away from them that at that time their blood is running high. And tempers are high. And some of the players, they lose it very easily and they can't control themselves. You would see some players, the moment they react like that, the moment they are spoken to, they calm down. It's pressure. I will tell you one thing that you would be surprised that you can have your child in a game and you're officiating a match. The moment you boo, if he's in that pressure, he will also insult the father. At that time, he's not a father, he's a referee. By the time he's going to realize he's a parent, it will be too late. But what I would want to say is that respect for leadership on the pitch and speak through the captain, it's fair. When I was a coach, I used to punish certain players that made such kind of foolish decisions. The referee has blown the whistle, he takes upon himself and kicks the ball away. It's a very unnecessary punishment. Now you can imagine if he's already on a yellow card, what happens? He's red. And now he's making your numbers drop. And if you are going to win the game, you lose the game. So some of the players, when they did something deliberately, I used to punch them outside the game. And I told them, for this yellow card, the club will not pay. I will deduct from your allowance. So players must be able to know exactly what they are there for. It's only to play the game. It's not to officiate as well as play the game. There is what we call discipline on and off the pitch. The way the player manages himself outside the game is also important. It also goes for dieting. His upkeep also is something that is very, very important. There are players that even if at all they are remunerated correctly, they have money, they are paid well. You go into their home, you would rarely find them that they can even cook. What they do, they're just going to drink, eat junk foods. Tomorrow they are there for training. Fitness again becomes a problem to gain. And that way, the players would not want to come up and be a good player because of their disciplined way of doing things. So a player always must be able to be disciplined, how he takes care of himself, how he plays around. Some players, they are fond of sleeping late, all the time drunk. What only stops them from drinking at times is when they are given a heavy training. That when they go home, they just drop dead until the following day. But other than that, every player who knows what he's capable of doing, they are serious with what they're playing. In their perspective, I would say yes. No fan would want to see his team lose. But at the end of it, we want to gauge games as they come. There are certain games that we lose, games that we should have won. There it pains the soccer fans actually. But again, we would see this game is a game definitely that we could have lost and we have lost. We need to concede. That's why there are three things. There is lose, there is win, and there is a draw. So when you get one of these results, you need to gauge your team is it necessary that we go to these results? I'll tell you one thing, that there are certain teams that you play in football. Even if you have trained the whole week, when they tell you are playing this team, you know you're losing. That's a fact. Even if you're going to play, you are just going to fulfill the fixture. Game can be a surprising game at times, but there are certain games that are so obvious that even if you play this particular team, even the players themselves, they know. But the coach would want to encourage them, because the game of football is unpredictable. Anything can happen in the game. So as long as they are going to get there, they'll always be confident of playing a game. Even if when they lose, they could have done their part. I am a witness. I'm a Jehovah's Witness. And all the time that I had time to set aside for my personal study of the Bible. But when it comes to football, we become different from different religions. So when we are going to do that prayer as a team, we need to know, what does it tell us? Which God are we praying to? Mostly we believe it's one God that we pray to, isn't it? Yeah, but at the end of it all, God is not partial. If you pray to God and you lose a game, what would you say at the end of the game? All the teams pray to God and they want God to give them a favor. But what is important in football, despite believing in God, you have to have that kind of discipline as an individual that is going to help you succeed in whatever you are doing. So when we pray to God, we are not going to leave it up to God to give us result. We need to work hard. That's why there is even training. You come for training. If it was just like that we come and pray, then we go into the pitch and win a game, I don't think these stadiums players will be coming for training. We come for training in order to prepare ourselves in terms of fitness, psychological, so that when we go to the game, we want to work hard and endure the playing time which is set, which is indeed 90 minutes. But looking at that, we have another area where people believe in juju. I think I would tell you that that was my best weapon that I used when I was a coach. Teams that believed in juju never won a game against me. Because the moment I started thinking the juju, because that's why I excelled, that's why I succeeded, that's why I was winning games, I pretended like one who had juju. And at some point what I would do, I would just pick anything like a dirty cloth, I pick a bone of a chicken and some leaves, drop it onto the dressing room of the visitor. They will start jumping and psychologically they are disturbed. So for me, it was something that I used, and the players believed that I was using that as juju. But at the end, I told them, guys, in football, there's no juju. It's all psychological. When you play with your opponent, psychological thinking, they are defeated from the word go. And it really worked. So football, there is that kind of belief in football. But if at all there is juju, how many teams do have juju? And we have seen that at times success belongs only to one team. So these other teams, they don't know where to go and get this juju so that they can also excel. I think I don't believe in that. Even though it is a bit tricky now that you have seen this zone that has been made, there are 2 teams in each pool. We have 10 teams north, 10 teams south. And KITWE United is playing most teams in the south. We are playing teams from Lusaka. Here we are only playing Zesco, Might and Fleon. As the test of the game, we play on their side. What has been done is now they want to harmonize with FIFA rules, where the season has to be starting in August. So we are starting our games tomorrow, 27th, and the team is already in Mazabuka. So what we are going to do is that we play these 10 games up to May. The season will close. And our intention is we want to survive. Again, these teams that are going to make it to stay in Premier League, we want to be amongst them. And we're working so hard that we can do what we did. We have the capacity and we have the ability. And the biggest weapon is courage and self-belief that we have in ourselves. Well, losing not necessarily, but we have had one player who was our top scorer. He has relocated. He has joined Nkwazi because of the nature of his job. He has joined the police force, so he is going to play with Nkwazi. But looking at that, we have tried to, according to our resources, the scarcity of resources, to bring in a few players. We have brought in a few players. They're not big names, but they are a surprise package. Well, to be a coach, there are certain things that you need to understand. It's not all about showing or training the team how to kick the ball. Firstly, you need to know the type of players that you have in the team. When you know them first, it's going to give you the system which you can use to play those players. Because certain calibers of players will not allow you to play certain systems of play. If I want to play 4-4-2, I think I must have players that can be able to fit. And in a 4-4-2 system, I need very fast wingers who can be able to give support. If you're going to play 3-5-2, meaning that you need to have a lot of midfielders in place and you need to have a top man who is capable of holding the ball up front. So if you don't identify the type of players that you have a problem in introducing your philosophy or introducing your system of play. So the coach must firstly understand what type of players does he have. Secondly, he needs to understand the players as individuals. Because there are some players that if you blast on them, you can't get results. There are some players that you just need to pat on the back to talk to them. You can get results. So you need to differentiate the two types of players that you have. Those that you are going to be shouting at, you must know them. Those that you are going to be talking to calmly, you must know them. You don't do it. The moment you do it the opposite, things doesn't work out well for you. And at the same time, you need to plan and prepare games differently. This week we are playing this team. We're not going to be doing the same things that we did last week when we were playing a different team. That's why we have people that we call, scouts or agents. That can go and indeed look at the team that you are playing with. You need to understand your opponents to plan very well. The moment you don't understand your opponents, you play to their tune. So if you understand your opponents, you plan the game accordingly. So that when you go to play them, you want to play against them, they must play your tune. The moment they play your tune, you win a game. And at the same time, a coach must be able to prepare players to be very fit. And they must have the kind of confidence if they have to deliver. Because if you play a team that is going to beat you on physique, it beats you on ball possession, you are losing a game. So a team that beats you on physicality, you must be able to use the skill. Play the game around. If they are playing the ball around, you also try to beat them on physicality. So that is what the coach is supposed to do. Coming to the job of the technical director or technical committee chairman, well, we oversee the coaches. We see their programs that they do, and at the same time, advise them accordingly. But again, you may have a challenge if there is no good rapport between the coaches and the technical director, in the technical committee. They need to be able to understand each other and correlate, moving together. Certain advices that may come from the technical director, telling them, you guys, you need to do A, B, C, and A, B, C, D. They need to cooperate. The moment there's no cooperation, it brings division in the team. And those are the times that you find that when the coaches don't want to listen to this technical director, the technical committee, most of the coaches, they have problems. And the moment the technical committee recommends that they be removed, these are the problems that you are seeing, that no one is going to say no to it. Well, there could be other factors, I would say. One thing that many administrators do not identify is are they a high-spending team where they are going to buy the best of players to be in their team? Secondly, are they a developing team? The moment they know where they belong, it's very easy to make decisions. Because if you are a developing team, you don't expect too much from a team. If you are going to buy the best and the team does not perform, yes, you tell the coach that it does not perform. But at the end of it all, every game, it has three attributes. Firstly, you need a good coach. Secondly, you need good players. Thirdly, you need good administrators. In absentia of one of these attributes, it becomes a sheer waste of resources. Now, when you look at administrators, there hasn't been a time that administrators check themselves. Are they performing or not? All they look at is only these two sectors, the players and the coach. So many are the times that the coach are culprits. And coaches are fired for failure to perform when they have not been given the best of players. Now, what has happened to many coaches? They leave and go to other clubs. They go to perform. What happens? Are they not the same coaches that fail to work? So there are some of the elements that many teams don't see. That's why you see that many clubs that feel like they have ownership into the team, executive members want to stay for years and years. It doesn't work out because their ideas become rusted. That's why in football also, we need to have that kind of systematic transgression where you prepare other people that are coming to take over from you, like the way it happens in football. You can't have one player for 5 years. You need to prepare others to take over. Even administrators, they must be prepared to leave the seats for others, to bring in new idea so that team can forge forward. This issue for firing coaches is everywhere, but some clubs have no good reason as to why they do that. It has been long overdue. I think the goal technology, I would say, is something that is very good. Way back, such kind of goals were considered, but they were not counted. But with the core technology, I think that is something that is very good. But one of the things that I've seen, it's the video commentators. Still there, you are asking the referee to make a decision, which is influential. And if there is a gamble there, still the referee will decide otherwise, according to what he has seen or according to what he wants. But for the goal technology, I think that there, I think it's fine because it gives you the precision of counting goals as they go in. I think this country, in terms of football, we have lost on the natural talent. Because today, what we see is like many of the people, they have taken football to be something that is recreative, where they can make money from. And most of the people that are going in there, they're going in for money, not that they have the talent. Why I'm saying so is I believe in every operation, on every job, there are three categories of people. Firstly, you have a person who is born to be a footballer. He's talented. You can't take away anything from him. Even if you bring him into the high-profile team, he will still perform. The others that learn football, they still become good players. And there are those others that will force themselves into playing football. Those ones, they don't last. That's the difference that is there. But in Zambia, as you can see now, we are struggling. Like today, it's very difficult for a team to produce a top striker number 9. 3/4 of number 9 players in our league, they are foreign players. We don't have our own. We don't have even natural wingers. It has become a problem to have natural wingers that can play at the national team level. So at the end of it all, we have failed to harness the talent that is in typical rural areas, because that's where there is talent. Way back, we saw teams like Buffaloes, Nkana, that would take even Mighty Mufria Wanderers. They used to go into the rural areas to pick players that they brought. And for Buffaloes, their territory was northwestern. Mighty Mufria Wanderers, it was Ruapula Progress. So they picked players. I remember Greenwell Warrior came from Mansa, that's for Buffaloes. Laban Chishala also came from Mansa. Richard Siame for Power came from Mansa. I also came from Mansa when I joined KITWE United. So we have lost that kind of talent. But today we are seeing that even in secondary schools, there is not much competition among secondary schools where we can be able to tap talent. So we need to harness 3/4 of players that are talented than those who just want to play football for the sake of making money.